say, hey, Dak, you're playing MVP level football. Do it in the playoffs, even though it's not the playoffs. So what are we supposed to do if Dak undercuts our whole industry? Come on, Dak.
Dak got hold of the rundown is what happened.
Dak playing chess.
Part of the show. Look, the schedule's going to get tougher, right? Obviously, I mean, like they have the Seahawks and they have the Eagles again, and then it gets tougher after that. Do you expect him to keep playing at this level, even against the tougher competition?
Oh, 100%. And I got to give a shout out to Mike McCarthy as well, right? Him and Dak are so in sync right now, they're finishing each other's sentences. It's him, two things. We talked about the red zone offense early in the year. They were really struggling. Well, 18 out of the last 26, they scored a touchdown. Ooh. We talked about pre-snap motion for them to be able to get guys open and give Dak coverage tells and move CeeDee Lamb around. Well, they were using it 39% of the year before the bye. Now they're using it 60% of the time. And then this last game against Washington, you know, that blowout game on Thanksgiving, 79% of the time they use pre-snap motion. So for me, it's Mike McCarthy saying to everyone that called his offense archaic and said that the game had passed him by and said that he was a terrible coach. He came back and he made the changes that he needed to make to get his guy rolling. And Dak Prescott is playing at not just at an MVP level, but the guy we just talked about in Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, he's above Jalen Hurts right now because of the way that he's played. After the bye, I think he's had 4 300 passing yard games. He hadn't had any before that. They have come back with a vengeance. And him saying that right there, that's like the T.O. meme. That's my quarterback, because you want him to feel, I haven't done anything yet.
You're right about Mike McCarthy to an extent. But Mike McCarthy we do not owe Mike McCarthy an apology. Mike McCarthy owes us an apology because he's doing the things that we said he needed to do. So I respect and I appreciate that Mike McCarthy was able to walk into the building and you say, you know what? Our offensive coach stinks. He's me. Let me stop pretending like we have some different offense than what we have. What they talk about on Get Up? Motion? Ooh, I like that. Let me put some of that in the offense. Oh, we can't run the ball? At the beginning of the year, he's like, we're going to run the ball. We're going to take the pressure off Dak so we have fewer turnovers. That ain't what we doing.
Yeah.
And I respect that. I appreciate his ability to evolve and take the next step and not be hard and fast in his ways and say, I know best. But I ain't saying sorry for telling him to do the right thing, and he finally doing the right thing now.
Yeah, trust Dak, right? Like that's what we talked about the whole time, is if you see what their offense was with Kellen Moore, right, it was all in Dak's hands. And so you came in, you had this mindset change, or hey, we're going to shift our philosophy to be this. You realize it's not going to work. We're not going to end up beating the good teams this way. Here's what we're going to have to do. Put the ball back in Dak's hand. CeeDee has become the receiver that everybody had hoped he would. Brandon Cooks is making plays. Ferguson's coming off the end. He's hitting the middle of the field. So when you look at it, everything is kind of coming together, and the defense is producing. Not only are they shutting teams, they're scoring points. Which, by the way, when we're seeing all these numbers, let's not forget they score about every week. So Dan Quinn has held up his end of the bargain. Their defense is playing good. That's why I would say this team scares people, because it's not just offensively. Their defense can flip fields, change, and score. Like when you talk about those type of plays, that's what shifts that's what shifts teams in the playoffs.
So Robert says he's ahead of Jalen Hurts.
Right.
But the one spot where he's not is in the standings, where the Eagles still have a 2-game lead.
Correct.
Eagles have San Francisco this week. Cowboys have Seattle this week. And then it's Dallas and Philadelphia again next week. So if things shake out their way, they could theoretically catch Philadelphia with a win that week. Do they need to catch the Eagles if they're going to make a playoff run? Do they need to get that division title and those home games?
I think that's their main focus, and it should be. We've all been in the locker room before. We understand that each game is important because it's the next game.
Right.
But when you look at the Dallas Cowboys and how dominant they've been at home, I mean, this year I think they're, 5-0?
They are 5-0, yes.
5-0 at home. So they have done things in a way with that crowd, in the star, feeling good about themselves. And when your quarterback is saying they haven't done anything, let me tell you what he has done right now in the league. He's first against man coverage. He's first against the blitz. He's first on third downs. He's first outside the pocket, and he's first against 4-man rush.
Yeah.
So Dak is playing at such an MVP level, and don't let any coach tell you that they don't watch these shows, okay? We did an entire 7-minute segment on Monday Night Countdown weeks ago when we had the Cowboys talking about motion, and they have utilized that to the highest levels so far.
Your division is important because that's the goal that every team starts with. But I will say this, if you look at the Cowboys would want the Eagles to win and win out, because you've seen at home, although the Eagles have found ways to win, they're susceptible defensively. They'll scored a bunch of points. The Cowboys scored a bunch of points. You'll see what San Fran does this weekend if they can score. But it lends you to think, hey, if we get into a shootout, at least in Philly, we still got a shot, right?
Without a doubt.
Yeah, so it's not like you go, oh, we're all of a sudden closed up if the Eagles win this division.
Yeah. So Josh Allen in his career is 0-6 in overtime games. That includes the playoffs. That's the most losses without a win or tie in overtime games by a starting quarterback of all time. Buffalo now, Now Buffalo's 1-4 on the road this season. All 4 road losses have been decided by 1 score. Allen was incredible on Sunday, just incredible. But he's also 2-6 in 1-score games. So the question is, do we trust Josh Allen to win a game for Buffalo in the biggest moments?
Yeah, I mean, we do. Like, you look at the Eagles game, that's him going up against another great quarterback.
Right.
We had this conversation on Monday Night Countdown about what quantifies greatness. And to me, like, it's a forever moving target. If you're saying Tom Brady is the greatest of all time, no one's ever going to amount to what Tom Brady did winning 7 Super Bowl rings. Who's the greatest in the game right now? It's Patrick Mahomes. And it's okay to say that Josh Allen isn't as great as Patrick Mahomes, but he still is a great quarterback, and the way that he's been playing has been out of his mind. So for me, this conversation needs to shift over to the defense. It's not about Josh Allen anymore. What has cost the Bills in those close games this year? You're talking about cover 0 against the Broncos when they get the PI call. You're talking about 12 men on the field when they miss the field goal and they get another crack at it for the Broncos. And then this past week, calling cover 0 in a gotta-have-it moment. If I'm Jordan Poyer or Micah Hyde, I'm going out there and I'm putting Sean McDermott in a Draymond Green chokehold. You ain't calling cover 0 no more in these moments because it's come back to bite us. Everyone in the stadium against the Eagles knew that they were going to run quarterback draw. They do the beautiful motion out the side, get everybody flowing one way. Kelsey comes out, makes a nice block. And if you're the offensive coordinator for the Eagles and Brian Johnson, you're saying, gotcha. Because I know what you're going to call. So it's not Josh Allen that is costing the Bills games. It's their defense. In the fourth quarter right now, they've given up 66 points in their 6 losses.
There you go.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
The tough thing is, yes, Josh Allen could not make those turnovers, but they're going to happen. When you ask him to put the team on his back and ask him to do amazing things week in and week out, there are times when things are going to go wrong. You mentioned Patrick Mahomes. He's not the measuring stick. He's one of the few guys in Aaron Rodgers in his prime who can put up 30-plus touchdowns, almost 40 touchdowns, or more than 40 touchdowns, and just a few interceptions. Do not expect that from anyone else. And I do think that when we talk about quantifying greatness, we do think about Super Bowls, we do think about playoff wins, but it's not always about the plays that the quarterbacks make. Like, if you can play well enough to win and still lose, as Josh Allen knows incredibly well throughout the course of this. And you're right, a 60-yard field goal, a damn near 60-yard field goal in the driving rain is the reason why he comes up short. So, if he doesn't throw that interception backed up, they don't lose. But if he doesn't throw that interception, he probably doesn't make all the rest of those plays. You're taking some of the aggressiveness out of his gameplay.
But he's leading the league in interceptions, right? I mean, like that's the thing. Like, is that not a concern? Like, is that not to get cleaned up if they if they're going to win?
Yeah, obviously you want to limit any kind of interception or any kind of turnovers in there. But to everybody's point, this is not a Josh Allen only issue, right? Like you have the Patriots. Like, that game should have been over. The Patriots drive it all the way down to win that game, right? And you brought the point of the points in the fourth quarter that the Bills are giving up. Again, Josh Allen goes down and they kick a field goal. At some point, your defense has got to step up, right? You're walking off the field with the lead, right? This was the Peyton Manning conversation when he was in Indianapolis. If you lost to Tom Brady, right? He loses to Patrick Mahomes, we're saying he's still not a great quarterback. He loses to Jalen Hurts on a great performance. We're going to say it, we're going to say it's Josh Allen. It's at some point you got to give him credit for all the good that he is doing to get this team into where they are. Because, by the way, he is their offense. They don't have a sustained run game without Josh Allen. They don't have the big plays. How many 3rd and 6 and longers did he convert the other night against Philly? Whether he throws the interception, they ain't getting those. So those are still drive killers, no different than the interception. So when you're looking at Josh Allen, I can't stand people talk about, like, his greatness or is he good enough to win this? Or, he is plenty good enough. But the guys around him have to step up, and at this point, they are not.
You talked about him leading the league in interceptions basically since he's been a starting quarterback.
Leading the offense,
And that's true. But he also, this year, has the highest QBR in the NFL in the fourth quarter. So it's like he is playing his tail off. And when you look at his stats from this past game, this offense, 505 yards, converted 59% of their third downs, 4 touchdowns and 5 red zone trips. They ran 27 more plays than the Eagles did and had an edge of 40 to 27 in time of possession. You're telling me that Josh Allen didn't do everything he could do in that game to win?
I think that he
and
did.
Jalen Hurts was just that much better.
I think that's what happened. Problem is the Bills head into their bye week now at 6-6.